Paper 7, Literatures of India, Part 2, Session number 57, Session title, Social Realism in the Novel. Life is not arithmetic, and man is not made for the game of politics. For me, all political programs and creeds should aim at the realization of the claims of man to survival and justice. I deserve a transformation of the present social system. Mahashweta Devi says this in her work Agni-Garbha. Mahashweta Devi definitely explains the life is not the calculation in number or any game. It's larger than we expect and richer than we imagine. Generally considered the voice of the marginalized and downtrodden, she adamantly wanted to change the face of society, making the existence of everyone in society equal. Everyone gets life the same way, but they are born in society which becomes their fate. God makes everyone the same, and we humans differentiate in the name of class, religion, and economy. They advocates the transformation of existing laws and social systems that are not able to complete their duties and responsibilities towards common and marginalized people. They are surrounded merely by the Tories in the hands of a few powerful capitalists. She wrote for 18 hours a day during the peak period of her career and gave a light to the nation about the plight of the people suffering under the democratic masked authoritarian government. She worked for the rights and empowerment of the tribal people Lodha and Shaba of West Bengal, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, and Chhattisgarh states. She is praised for her vibrant tolerance to oppose the powerful rule that is mostly feared by majority of the male writers of the period. She became the lighthouse of the scattered thoughts of the tribes, and the outcome of the situation came to be known as Naxalites. Mahashweta Devi exposes the feudal system, which is anti-tribal, anti-women, anti-poor, and anti-tiller. Known as the voice of tribes, her novel Mother of 1084 is somewhat different, as in this novel she not only talks about the plight of the proletariats but also covers so many social issues concerned with so-called upper-class society which are unknown to common people. The present study aims at exploring all the social issues raised by the author in the novel Mother of 1084. A diatribe on the decadent society. Mahashweta Devi, in her attempt to unfold the layers of exploitation of the marginalized, asserts emphatically that I believe in anger, in justified violence, and so peel the mask off the face of India, which is protected by the government to expose its naked brutality. As always projected, the great nation of India has two faces to be exposed and discussed, one being the stylistic and luxurious India that lives in the prosperous cities, and other is the image of India staggering under poverty, hunger, debt, and unemployment. On the 17th of January 1970, a telephone rings during the early hours with the news that Brati has been killed in police encounter. The call is received by Sujata, mother of Brati, who is asked to go to Kantapukur to identify her son. Bibiana Chatterjee bribes the police to conceal the death mystery of Brati from the media. He and his elder son Jyoti seem to be ashamed. They do not go there to save their false prestige. Viviana doesn't allow him to take his car as people would recognize his car and will start investigating. The family members are not bothered about the death of the son or brother, they are rather concerned about the false societal status. This shows the hollowness of love and life in front of so called status and the real face of the government servant who receives bribe to conceal Brati's name. These government servants play a key role in empowering the right wing to capitalists who play with power and dominate the downtrodden. Mahashweta raises these questions thus: so many young men killed, so many imprisoned. How can you value in your complacency? How can you carry on with your puja, concerts, cultural festivals, film festivals, poem fests, etc.? Nandini puts the charges against the Nam society. She says that they neither understand their noble cause nor acknowledge their sacrifice. Instead of knowing about their sacrifice, they even forget their efforts. All these questions are unanswered. It hits the mind of audience. This Naxalite movement was failed, but she still has the hope of new era. This reveals that on the one hand of society fights for the rights of the people, shedding blood and laying down life for the cause, and on the other hand of the same society appears ignorant about these sacrifices. They are more concerned for their coerce. In the novel, bourgeois is loaded with unnatural relationship in the name of liberation and mutual interest. Devyanath is apparently happy married to Sujata, but is in relationship with the typist of his office, whereas Nipa is married to Amit and is in relation with Balai, and thus love and marriage sound immoral. For the world, these people are elite, but if we see from inside, they are full of insecurity, immorality, and ambiguity. The novel is full of incidents where we can feel the anxiety and pain of women in patriarchal society. In front of the society, she is worshipped and given equal status, but in reality, her existence, opinion, and pain doesn't matter, and she becomes the epitome of silence and patience, and her sacrifices and acceptance of everything wrong coming her way make her the best daughter, the best wife, and lastly, the best mother. Women who fail to do so are considered archaic and obsolete. In Sujata's meeting with Nandini, she told Sujata about Anandya, who was introduced by Neetu, a prominent activist, as a diligent worker, but he was a police informer. Nandini realizes that Anandya had joined the mission with a program of betrayal. Anandya, a two-faced mole of society, who came as friend and companion in their mission, but was actually the reason of their death. He was part of that feudal community who wanted to uproot the branches of their movement. With a two-faced society and two-faced people around, this group of five friends, along with the other Naxal guerrillas, was fighting for the vision and belief they believed in. What triggered social displacement? Let us see that. The novel started with the news of Brati's death in Naxal movement, and the decade of 70s in Bengal is remembered for the same. People were fighting against the landlords and bureaucrats who were exploiting common and helpless people. But being from upper class made Brati Naxal. Here, the author, being the eyewitness of the movement, has clearly stated the reason and outrage of the Naxals. It mainly focuses on the political butchering of the position voices raised against them. If we notice the history of India, we would find that the oppression and suppression of the tribes and untouchable categories had been active for long back from the period of the independence. The higher caste, with power and money, ruled the lower caste that is drenched forever in poverty and hunger. When they lack sufficient resources to sustain the life of their beloved ones, they get ready with half-hearted mind to sell them. This was the major card for the ruling hunters to overcome the protest. It still continues in one or the other way. Divide and rule was a formula maintained by the British rulers, which later was handed over or borrowed by then existing landlords under supporting government. Mahashweta Devi has focused her attention primarily on the tribal communities within India. She asked the mainstream society to mark the presence of the tribes in the history of the nation in its freedom struggle and even before that. Only the major classes and their struggle for freedom are represented in the literature and historical works, which intentionally avoids the participation of the tribes and their enormous bloodshed. She wanted the whole nation to understand that the struggle done by tribes was also a major cause for independence for which they have never been appreciated or brought to front stream. Mahashweta Devi wants the country for creating innocent minds into rebels due to the atrocities done by the governing society. She believed that Naxals were not self-made by their own aggressive inborn mentality, but were gradually trained by the negative powers in their youthful mindset after having suffered for long until the end of their tolerance. Those negative powers are often the feudal system that scratches to pollute their normal thoughts with extreme hatred. In the novel, Mahashweta Devi very aptly introduces the three homes representing three different cultures, locations, and economy, and the different ethos of women residing there. Sujata, Sonu's mother, and Nandini. Their family structures and their economic implications define the individualities of all three women to the point of setting up a hierarchy of self assertion and independence. From Somu's mother at the lowest rung to Nandini's at the highest, with Sujata at intermediate level. The helpless fear and submission of Somu's mother has foiled to resentment. Anger of Somu's sister, who is also foiled to Sujata, offers a more inclined version of Sujata's own dodged resistance to the power imposed on her by Dibyanath and family. Nandini is the one who knows and decides, while Sujata is in the throes of learning and edging towards deciding. The author explicitly makes us realize about the parent child relationship in each class of society. Sujata's quest takes her to Somu's mother, where she came to know that Brati used to spend hours in their house, which was a slum, and Somu's parents were aware of Somu's view and his participation in the movement and respected it. But on the other hand, the people of upper class society have no time for the son and are not aware of his ideologies. Perhaps Prati was aware of the fact that he was in opposition to the value system followed at his house. Most importantly, the state of women in all the classes of society is same. They are dummies nurtured by the society to be speechless, to be tolerant, to bear and raise the progeny and follow patriarchy. These dummies are taught to get exploited by other dummies and to exploit other dummies in the name of morality, ethics, and society. Fate of women everywhere remains the same. Nandini, an upper class woman, is tortured and made half dead for revealing her thoughts. Sujata, from middle class, has different ideology, unlike the rest of her family, and goes with the flow without uttering a word. but suffers every day. Soma's mother is an example of the marginalized and the poor, where hunger is above life. Sujata, the mother of Corpse number 1084, can find a moral rationale for her son's revolt only when she together, exactly 2 years after the killing, a part of her son's life which she had never known. Unaware amidst the situation of her life in the politics of economic deprivation and exploitation, the more Sujata sees in Rati's revolt an articulation of silent resentment she has called within herself against her corrupt, respectable husband, other children, and their spouses and friends, the closer she feels to her dead son, and the more poignantly she feels the loss. In a sense, she is able to find her son and can hold him to herself only if she finds in his death a fulfillment that she has yearned for and never dared to claim for herself. In the words of Sujata, hypocritical life led by the members of the family is revealed. The person who stands for the ideals like Brati and Sujata are subjected to alienation. Both these characters are not contented with the conditions of the home. We can analyze the rational discrimination to which Sujata is subjected at home. Sujata feels that she has failed as a mother. She is unable to understand Brati and his vision, for which he secretly languished and gave his life. She embarks now on the mission to know her son better, to understand intricacies of the caste for which she fought. With this intention, she visits Somu's mother and Nandini. Sujata tries hard to come to terms with her loss, but it is a tough fight. This indifferent and passive attitude to the external world keeps her in the world of ignorance, especially about her son's inclination towards the going Nathalism. Though she loves him so dearly, as he is the one who is practically the succor of her existence amidst the material minded and selfish members of the family. Therefore, she takes a lot of time to realize her son's noble perception and commitment towards a society who not only struggles to protect his mother, but also those people who are subjected to atrocities afflicted in the society. Sujata's horizon of thinking is refound to self grief after the recognition of the solemn anguish of Nandini. She learns the reason for the failure of the movement and revolution. Further, Nandini reveals her discontent over the indifferent society. It is really pain to see that most people are least bothered about the deprivation of the minimum amenities to the marginalized strata of the society. The noble hearts who have become martyrs in revolting against this inequality are never acknowledged. Eventually, Sujata realizes and accepts the dynamics of grief, ultimate loss, and unbearable pain caused by the premature death of her son Rati. She firmly believes that her son Rati cannot be labeled as a criminal. The only factor is that he denied accepting the code of the decadent society. These people were labeled as rebels and are killed and encountered ruthlessly. After the death of Brati, Sujata's life is absolutely empty, with no one to live for anymore. In the last scene of the play, we meet a transformed Sujata, one who is more self assured, morally confident, and politically sensitive. She decides to leave the house in which Prati never felt at home. Having found a soulmate in Rati, she turns her back on Dibyana and his decadent value system. Corpse, stiffened corpses, all of you. Did Brati die to let you carry on your cadaverous existence? No, never. Let this no of mine pierce the heart of the city, to every nook and corner. The novel starts with a flashback, the pain of childbirth, and ends with the pain of ruptured appendix. A woman's most primal creative suffering precedes the beginning of Sujata's self-discovery. The pain of deceased organ symbolizes the end of her journey. Thank you.